Right, yep, hi all. So yeah, just working on these shoes. So this is Justin's pair of shoes. So yeah, these are the 2023 mag replicas from AliExpress. And basically, yeah, I'm just taking them apart, doing some work on them. So quick look at, say, this one here, for example. So I've heated it up, the old panel here, very carefully removed this panel in order to be able to remove the LEDs, remove the old electronics such as the LEDs in here and the LEDs here, and obviously the bubble that goes on here. And I then inserted the EL panel here along with a small sort of slit here so that wiring can sort of double back and bend in. Obviously that's just the way the wiring looks, so that's just, you know, how it looks, but when it's lit up it looks absolutely top notch, really nice. That's the area there. Done the same for both sides here. This one here actually had so this one here's got a mark on it here, for example. This one here's got some scuffing here where the glue is, which you can see here. Just where, you know, it's just been made, basically. That's all by somebody, you know, so it's not perfect on the material here, but a lot of this material here will be covered, for example, on this shoe with these I've made. So I've just again cut these out from a template, made them a bit slimmer, but ultimately they go like that, and they actually cover up most of that material there. Plus there's a little crease here which has been made again by the factory when they've glued it together. There's a little crease in it there, so it's little things you have. Can't really cover up this bit here, so there'll be this bit here will be exposed, but you know, it's not bad at all. That's that panel there looking beautiful. Just got a bunch more of these today, as you can see. So press them on there, and let's have a look. Press it again. So those obviously to replace those ones. And so just cut this out after having dinner. So these all look really nice. I've done obviously two pairs, one for this pair and another pair as well. I'm working on late after this. I've then got the Air Mag bubbles here, and heels. So again, per prior videos, etc., you can't just lob that on, unfortunately, because this is much smaller here than this is. So it means you'd see all of that section there, including obviously this glue mark here, which obviously is always hidden by that. So I'm gonna insert these into here. So now it's not just a case of just inserting them in. You've actually got to cut away part of this rubber here really carefully using a Dremel, so it fits much neater and looks better. Otherwise it just doesn't fit in properly, and it basically is badly cut. You can sort of see there the marks where it's been cut in a bad way. Same for this one here. Just been sort of sliced with a blunt blade, basically, quickly. And then once that fits, I can then put the electronics in here, feed the electronics round, which is this piece here, and then glue it up, shut that up, and that's fine. Put the Nike, sorry, get the focus. Put the Nike swoosh in there. Then that can then be resealed up, and then I can then start to transfer the letters from these onto the backs of these, and then obviously I can start as well to shape the shoe as well. So once the shoe's been padded and heated, the shoe will start to shape much nicer in this sort of section here. It's all just because I've been getting my hand in there and squashing things around and pulling out wiring. That's obviously why it looks like that, but it will look much better when it's finished. Got those to do as well at some point. So in terms of what I would normally do is I often sort of swap the straps round. So swap one round so it's the other way around, basically. And then I've also got the two straps here to do some work on, to insert the Nike symbol. So there's basically lots of work. But tonight's job, is to go outside now, grind out these carefully, get those inserted, put these panels in, feed the wiring through to the inside, and then glue that, and then those can then be left overnight. And then that means that when I come back with a swoosh in the morning, it's all sorted. Right, yeah, Pyle. So yeah, here's Justin's mags. These are 2023 mags. Look really nice, and they say really crisp with these nice clear soles on them. So what I've done yesterday is I've just stripped down the shoe. I've removed the electronics, so I've removed the LEDs in here, and obviously the bubble that's on there, peeled it open carefully. Same for this bottom bit here. I've heated this section up here, lifted this panel here up in order to be able to remove the LEDs and all of the existing wiring that's in there, including, say, the charge socket that goes in the back there. And then basically inserted the panel, glued it in place, held it in place. When it was dried, I then able to glue this piece here on. That wasn't just a 5-minute job. That took a couple of hours, because when you peel this off, you find that one of them was glued on with hardly any glue, so it came apart really lovely and it's nice and clean. You put the panels in, you light the panels up, and there's no sort of imperfections in the rubber. This one here has been candidly built by somebody, so they've obviously got some scuffing and glue marks around here, which most of that will be covered over with the swoosh. This bit here won't be. And this section here, for example, it was literally the person who just smeared glue over everything. So when I peeled it off much of the paint underneath, but it retained the shape really nicely, but it did peel off most of the paint underneath. So you can sort of see here, a few marks here. So just things like that, you know, but remember these are custom shoes. These effectively are a cheap shoe from China that's mass produced, you know, in a factory somewhere. So they'll look really good. It's just minor points to be aware, that's all. This bit is a bit of a shame here where they've obviously candidly put the glue on, but obviously once I've just cut these out, once these are basically tucked in underneath there and neatened up, obviously most of that will be covered over anyway, so you might see a little bit of damage just here, again where the person's just been gung-ho with the glue. Same as this one here, you know, you've got all the pen marks on this one. This one has no pen marks, this one here has pen marks, and again they've put a pen mark just there. But again, that should be covered over by the swoosh. I did clean it up a bit because it was really obvious and red before, but now it's less. But that should be covered over by the Nike logo. So that's that. But overall, very, very good. Again, this one's got a little crease in. I'm just pointing these little things out just so anyone is looking, you know, knows they're not perfect. And also for Justin, you know, when he looks at his shoe, I mean, I did my very best to make that look sorted. But just to be aware, that's all. That's what I'm dealing with. And I've got these to do some work on, potentially swapping the strap around, turning the strap around the other way, so that this part here potentially is on this side, which I might do. And then I've got to insert the Nike logos in there as well, which is a very, very difficult fiddly job to get them in looking neat. Anyone can get them in looking crap, but to get them in looking neat when there's hardly any room in there is quite difficult. So that's that. Also just received a bunch more of these from my guy. Put some on. So they look amazing. So I just got a bunch more of those. And I say these are Justin's panels, which are basically the same panels here, and as well as his Nike panels. Cool. Right, and yeah, so obviously you're outside. So next job is to make these bubbles fit. So ultimately you can see when you do that, unless I really stretch that, that's not going to fit neatly at all. It's miles out basically. So the job now is to use this. So I always use a Dremel with a nice bit on the end, nice clean bit as well. And then what I'll do really is I'll just gradually grind away at the rubber here, get it into the little crannies here just to get the shaping right. Then sort of detail around the back here. And obviously you can't take any off the front because you don't want to lose the paint. So I try and take it off on the inside just to get that fitting, you know, pretty well. Do the same to the other side, and again with these shoes you have to try and keep the blooming things so clean, because obviously you can't afford to get any dirt and fingerprints and crap on them, you know. So that's an important one. So that's that. And then I need to also heat up this one in order to be able to get that piece off, so that's been glued onto this. So yeah, that needs heating up with the hair dryer thing, and get that panel off, and then do the same on that one. So yeah, I'll be about half an hour doing this. Right, yeah, so that's that one done. So yeah, didn't actually take too long actually. I mean, in a day you do it the best you can do it. You know, you can't. This thing isn't designed to go in this shoe. So I just like to point these things out. You know, I mean, this will look epic when it's on, but it's just to point out, you know, that this isn't designed to fit this. That's all. But once I've sort of twisted that, you know, and then glued it in place and all that sort of stuff, and obviously you won't be able to see this white section there. So it's where that's just literally dust basically that is there. That will look really decent. And I say that I'm going to heat this bit here a little bit now, just in that corner there, just to get a bit more of this off here, and then I can then put the swoosh in there as well, electronics in, and that will cover up all of that. And then you can see you've got a little bit of a mark here from the manufacturer's glue, which I'll see if I can do anything about that as well whilst I'm at it. But yeah, let's say that's just dust on there, by the way, but that will look decent. Okay, cool, pleased with that. So yeah, now to work on the other one. Right, yeah, that'll do. So yeah, I mean, you can tell the difference sort of thing. Like this one here, for example, was such a much better fit already, so into the rubber, so I didn't have to hardly remove any rubber from this one here, and it just fitted quite nicely that way. And then had to adjust it sort of mostly at the top and the bottom. Whereas this one here didn't fit at all, so you can tell that the rubber is definitely a different shape on this one here. So it took a lot more work. So, but again, that should look nice. I was very wary not to take out too much rubber. So obviously, if you take too much rubber off, certainly go on to the grey section, then you're going to be able to see the white rubber underneath. So you have to be so careful only to take rubber away from like the inside. So that's the sort of dilemma you have. You can't take too much rubber off, basically. But yeah, they're going to look good. I've also removed a bit more material in here, just by heating it up gently with the air gun, so I can get the Nike in there. And same for that side there. Like I mentioned before, you can tell this one here is, it's got the sort of, it's much more creased inside there. Just manufacturing, the way it's been made. That's all it is. But yes, it should look good, and I'm quite pretty pleased with that. So I'll take them inside now, brush out with a nice clean paintbrush all of these marks, all this dust that's all over it and stuff. And and then I can get electronics in, glued into place, glue these down, leave it overnight, and I'll show you guys a quick video in a second. Cool. Right, yep, I also last video for tonight. So yeah, you can see that the shoes are coming along. So like I mentioned, throughout the video sort of thing, obviously, you're basically taking apart a cheap shoe and you're modifying it. And obviously these shoes aren't designed, no shoes are really designed to come apart. So with all these shoes, I always do my very best, and there's obviously lots of imperfections, try and work around it to try and give, the owner the best shoe possible. That's why I only do a few of these shoes every single year, because it is a lot of effort, and you have to be very careful not to get any glue marks, damage anything, all that sort of stuff. So yeah, just to summarise, I do my best with what I can work with. But so yeah, as this really is, in fact, the left shoe, this one here, came apart, went together really nicely. So the person, like I mentioned, who glued it, used minimal glue on here, so it came apart nicely. This was good, apart from that mark they had underneath there. The rest of it was really good. There's a little bit of glue marks down here, again from the manufacturer, not from me. But really, it looks pretty damn sweet, that shoe does. I don't know if you can tell by the video, but it does look really nice. Panels look good. And obviously these are the LEDs, the EL panels in there. And like I mentioned to Justin, they're not very bright particularly, but they do look pretty good. Obviously when the lights are off, they do look much better. But they're pretty nice. Now that is as level as I can get them, because you've got hardly any room to manoeuvre in there. And obviously the wires are rigid. The wires can't let you go out here and then down here and round there. They have to go at an angle. And obviously, you need the wiring loom down here, so it comes here, and you have to sort of get it round and then down here carefully, about trying to keep, trying to keep it relatively level. So this is the best, that I can do, and I'm pleased with it, so that's good. I'll just put the initial layer of glue on there. That's why it's a bit high here, so I'll put some more glue on that. That's just to hold it in place whilst, this is all glue in here. But that's the angle I'm going for there. And I'm going to put more glue underneath here as well once this main section is dried. So I'll leave it overnight and apply some more glue on that section there tomorrow. But I'm very, very pleased with that one there. This one here was the shoe that took a lot more effort. This one here was the bad shoe out of the two. So like I mentioned on the previous part, there was some damage, some sort of glue marks around this corner of the heel here. And that is more so why I had to do the angle of these ticks here, running really sort of close to the grey part here, so I could cover over that sort of glue mark, which is about here on this shoe. So that's the reason. And obviously I'm not able to cover up that little glue mark that's there on that shoe, which is underneath here. And the reason this is all clamped is because, like I mentioned, this piece of rubber here is different shape to this piece. This one here has got, for example, a finger's gap here, just to give or take. This one here, when you put your finger in there, there's a much smaller gap. So this is the reason why the Nike logo here is slightly lower down on this one than it is on this one, because this grey panel is out of alignment. There's nothing you can do unless you take the entire shoe off, but then you'll have all the glue residue, so it's just not going to happen. So that's just what I'm saying. This is what I'm working with, Managed to get these as well in the best position I can on this shoe. And again, I managed to sort of grind out as much of this rubber here to make that as best as I can on that one. Panels here look really, really good as well. I've not put in the wiring loom yet to illuminate both items. I thought, you know what, glue it up leave it overnight, and then I can then put a second layer of glue on the Nike swoosh logos, and then potentially that area there, that sort of section there is probably done. And then, you know, maybe tomorrow night or the night after, I can start to work on the straps, and then start to put the loom here, start to feed the loom into the shoe, into the base. I'll cut out the new bit of rubber to go in the base to replace the old battery pack from the old system. So there's still, you know, a good number of hours left on these babies. But yeah, hope the video is of interest to people. And yeah, it's definitely enjoyable, but say a lot of hours, you know, a lot of hours basically so far. Let me just turn the light off. There we go. And that's what I mean about subtle. So they're subtle because that's just how they are compared to the blingy LEDs, but they do look really, really good. You know, and these, in my opinion, look beautiful. So I'm pleased with them anyway. Cool, nice one. Thanks all. Thanks for watching. Cheers.